Good evening, and welcome to the truth behind the truth. Indeed. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in with us tonight. We're so glad that you have taken a few minutes out to spend and get some education, some knowledge, and all that to make you find your authentic self and all the things that we roll out to you each and every week. We are excited and definitely to be here and being able to share with you. Want to welcome our social media base tonight. Once again, want to call you out by name: Facebook, YouTube, and definitely first time really actually on Twitter tonight. So I'm really even excited about that. So we are expanding our horizons, when it comes to that. And of course, our UK family, our Italian family, Italy family, however we want to put it. Everybody
our
worldwide, exactly, definitely. Have a wonderful guest that should be joining us this evening. Actor DeMarco getting tongue-tied. DeMarco Majors, tonight will be back with us again shortly. I think he's having a little bit technical difficulty, but he will be in just a few minutes. All right. So, hey, Brunel, how you doing?
I'm good. As you see, I'm on the road again.
Yeah, on the road again. It's that time of year, but you know what? That's how that makes you a working actor. Okay,
that's right.
I only when the hair is getting that star for the door.
All right. Okay, I love it. Thank you, Melissa. All right. I love that.
That's the first time somebody caught that.
Yeah,
that's the first time somebody absolutely caught that. Wow.
Thank you, Melissa. Thumbs up for that.
All right now.
Well, see, we have during the next season. Okay, we have a new opening coming next season. When we kick off our third season, so we didn't worry about him getting. Harold, kind of likes to do his own thing, so that kind of made a representation of him doing his own thing. So he decided to put a sign on the door.
Good stuff.
In regards to that, but thank you for tuning in tonight, Melissa. We appreciate it so much. It's gonna be a great show. Actually, it's gonna be a wonderful show tonight.
Yeah.
So our working actor, tell us where you're going, Bernard. What are you working on?
Well, it's that time of year again where I'm doing the pageant of the Masters down in Laguna Beach.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a 90 years strong, and it's basically they pick a theme every year. And, am I cutting out?
You're okay.
But you're good. You're good.
Okay. And they choose a theme, and they take art, and they take these paintings and sculptures and stuff, and they use real live people to recreate these famous paintings and sculptures, and it's a really beautiful, beautiful experience.
Of course, we've made it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh no, this is my second year doing it, so
right.
If it wasn't a good experience, I wouldn't have come back. So that's
okay. I got you. Well, that's not bad. Well, we did our best last year to get down there, but we will be down there this year to see this show. Okay.
All right, y'all heard him. This is on tape now.
I know.
I'll put the line. So say, hey, Melissa, you can remind us that we hadn't been down to see Parnell's show yet. That's what we'll do. Well, Melissa will hold our feet to the fire about it.
Get him, Melissa.
That is definitely. So, any other projects you got going on besides that one coming
up? That's all for right now. I've got a couple things coming up in September, but nothing solid just yet. But I just signed with a new agent, so Firestarter Entertainment. So I'm looking forward to this new relationship and seeing how things go. Things. That's the nature of the business. You change your relationships to try something new and
absolutely
shake it up and see what happens. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because if one don't work, the other will.
Especially out here in Hollywood, in the acting world, music world, anything that deals with art, you need somebody who's going to work for you. And that's the thing about this industry. It's now so easy to get on, to do it for yourself, to brand yourself without an agent. But it'd be nice to have somebody that's in your back corner that's letting you know what is out there that you can get yourself assigned to.
Absolutely.
But it's very important to at least have an agent that is going to work for your better half, not just any old thing.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yes. But since you on that topic of Twitter and us being on Twitter, how y'all feel about this Elon Musk situation right now? Y'all know he had
When I saw that, I was like, he wasn't planning to really buy Twitter.
True.
That was my first thought. Like, he wasn't really trying, but it was just a nice little publicity stunt and to rile things up and see what's happening. Because for him to just kind of like, oh, well, they're not disclosing how many, really, how many false or fake accounts are out there.
Right.
I'm like, that's not any reason to back out of a business deal. Said you really had no plans to do this. And I love that Twitter is kind of like, not so fast. You signed some paperwork.
Right. Okay.
Because they ready to sue.
Right.
They're like, no, you're not going
you will
nowhere.
not be stepping away from this one that easy,
She's got papers on me.
It's like he's becoming the young Trump. It's like the Trump on 2.0 steroids. Now that he has, he had more money than Trump ever did.
Trump ain't even in his league. Don't even put Trump up
there.
In his league.
At one point, Trump was a critical businessman. I give Trump that credit. He did run New York for some time.
Right, but he never was.
But he just wasn't no billionaire. No,
right, he wasn't no billionaire. So we don't give that much credit. Plus, he about to lose all that money when he get ready to go to jail. So
right.
He getting ready to go to jail. He getting ready to go to jail. He getting ready. I'm gonna create a song, y'all. He getting ready to go to jail.
Listen, y'all. I ain't trying to be funny, but I'm gonna be like Doubting Thomas, and I'm just wanting to see this for myself. I want to at least put the hands on the, and see it on television and see him in handcuffs. I just got to see it. I just don't believe it until I see it. I'm now the Doubting Thomas of the show.
Right. That's okay.
I'm the Doubting Thomas.
Hey, he getting ready to go to jail. Well, anyway, but we won't talk about Trump tonight anyway, because we spent enough time
tired of him. Yeah.
Enough accolades.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to get into real quick, as we talked about it on the pre-show, is this rise of Black Karens. Okay. I mean, this is, Black women. I'm saying, okay, if y'all getting offended by what I'm about to say, it's not y'all. All right, so if you don't worry about that. It's not y'all if you're doing things right. But these Black Karens, I'm saying, we wanted to focus on the white Karens. Okay, there are Black Karens out there. All right, I mean, it's a damn shame on what y'all doing. Okay, and what you represent of a marginalized community anyway, and then you gonna show your ass. Come on, really? But anyway, I want to tell you about this real quick story. Then we move on to the next. Okay, he's in. All right, so our guest has arrived, but we'll let him after we come in our break in just a second. But anyway, so about my point that I was making is that here in LA, okay, there was this story. I don't know if you LAans had saw it on the news about this woman. Okay, I'm gonna be nice, woman of color. Okay, she went to one of our Latino brothers and sisters, taco stand. Okay, this was in South LA, and because her burrito was not fixed properly, or the way she thought it was supposed to taste, whatever the case may be, they offered to give her a refund, okay, as any reputable business would, or either do a remake for her. So she didn't want either one of them. So what she proceeded to do was to take her Black behind, okay, up there and destroy their complete stand. When I'm telling you, people, she destroyed. She took the grill. She kicked the grill down. She took all of their mixes and turned them over and poured them all over the ground and everything else. And to say the least, she did more than that. I have time to talk about. To say the least, the worst part about it, all of it was worse. But the worst part about it was the fact that she spit on their remaining food. Okay, so the police did catch her ass. Okay, and they was put in jail. Okay, rightfully so, and she had a $60,000 bail. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if she got out or not, but I'm just saying. Okay, look, Black Karens, wake the F up. All right.
That there's a generation of people, and not to say it, because we have Karens of all colors that are just popping up and around, and I think social media has kind of amp this up a little bit, because you see this on social media all the time about people going into places of businesses and tearing them up and jumping over counters and trying to get. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's all the way wrong, because you would never get anything done doing that. Right. Because there are so many ways to get your message across. You can either not go into a business, support a business, put your money behind a business, or you can do, you can organize and get that business shut down. I feel like at the end of the day, whatever that situation was just ridiculous. Because either way, if they offered to repair her food and to make it better, then what was the point? That must be something that I feel like she came in with a situation, and then all of a sudden that situation kind of exploded on top, and mismanaged anger. Mismanaged anger is the thing of this new society. People are bringing out their anger on people they don't need to be bringing their anger out on. And I feel like that needs to be talked about these days. You know, you just don't go into any, you know, and I tell people this all the time. It's so easy to go throw things at a customer based worker than to go throw something at a politician. Why is that? Why in this country it's so easy to go throw stuff at a fast food worker than at a politician who's not doing you no justice?
Well, because they don't know who the politicians are. But Barney, I'll go ahead and make your point.
All I had to say, they should have whooped her ass. That's what should have happened. You know. Because that was just ridiculous, and I'm taking that stance regardless of the color or the gender or the orientation, whatever. You come up and you show your ass like that at somebody's business, whatever happens to you happens.
Right. Okay.
You know, because that was just so uncalled for and out of line. Right. You know, that it's just like, just go get your beef. If you don't want them to make you something else, just get your money back and take your ass somewhere else. But you don't go and tear up somebody's business because you upset about your burrito not being right. Girl, please.
Yeah. Now let me tell you this. Now I know we're gonna go into break, but let that have been a black-owned business. Now would that have been the same situation? Because you know we ain't about that.
No, because she got ass.
Was she on her ass like that? No, she'd have known. See, she'd have known Mom and them would have whooped that ass for real. Like, no, you're not gonna come up in my restaurant and act a fool.
Because Mama would have came out the back with them on the back of them heels like she would have. And whooped the ass. But anyway, we got to go to a break, guys. When we come back, we'll have a wonderful guest with us, Mr. Actor DeMarco Agent will be with us when we get back. We'll be right back after this break. All right, and welcome back, guys. Thank you so much again for tuning in to The Truth Behind the Truth. Exciting night again. We have our, as we welcomed him, they told him he had a seat at the table anytime that he wanted to come back, and we're so glad that he is taking the time out. We have actor DeMarco Majors. Why am I tongue tied tonight? DeMarco Majors. Sorry, DeMarco. DeMarco Majors with us again tonight. We want to welcome him back to the table for that awesome conversation, and we're going to dig in a little bit deeper with him tonight. Welcome back, DeMarco. Yes, sir. Good to see you.
How's everybody doing?
Time around.
How you guys?
I think we lost Parnell. I think.
Good.
We'll pause that. I think the rest of the code, Parnell's on the road and on the way to a gig, and Harold had an emergency issue tonight, so that's why he's not with us tonight, as well. Yeah. But we're here to give you the floor, to talk to you, to pick your brain, to pull you all kind of different directions. Yes. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for taking the time out to be back with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Definitely. So how's life been since we last spoke?
Life has been interesting.
Okay.
Life is always interesting with new opportunities, finished projects, and once you finish a project, you have to give yourself time to grieve from that project.
Yes. Okay.
you've spent so much time and you spent so much effort and you put so much emotion into a character, and you have to. And some people don't realize
yourself.
Yeah, you have to do that. And
right.
I've actually had a conversation with a few friends about that. People don't realize how much time Will Smith spent trying to be King Richard. That a lot of actions he's still been in that role because it's part of his trauma bonding. So I've learned how to give myself a grieving space after a project's done, so that I could free my capacity to do something else.
That's understandable.
Go ahead. But I wanted to add this, since he said that, people do not know the art, the skill in acting.
Oh yeah.
So many people think it's just you just putting on a coat. No, it's you having to internally be the character, and that takes a lot of empathy. Because we don't give out to certain characters, certain people, because when you take on a character such as him, who was very domineering and very, a character, King Richard was, he people don't know how to deal with that, mentally.
Well, you speak annoying from firsthand, because I have a film coming out that it's been like almost 5 years down, but it still hasn't been released yet. But it's going to come. So I played a doppelganger, in it. So, and the last day on set, that I was in this mode of this gut wrenching vampire mode, and I had to go there. You remember when I came there? And I had to drive home. I was driving home. I was really shaking, and and I'm like, wow, why am I doing this? But I had to really go deep, and then the takes, the director said, God, you really went there. That's a week. Because funny part about it is not funny, but the good part about it is that so this particular scene there, I was getting stabbed, whatever, by this guy that was supposed to be doing. So I'm on the floor, and they got camera angle right here, and they're so he forgot to call cut because I was so into character. He said, we just kept watching, we got lost. I was like, oh my God, he said, because of the agony and the moaning and all those type of things that I went through in the process, that he said, they said they had to watch it, and then they kept letting it run, as in the process. He said, we should have cut like 3 seconds, like at least a minute and a half ago. But,
you really went there.
Yeah, I know. I mean, actually, so I can contest to what you're saying about that. Definitely. But
it's important. It's also something that I've learned about our doing certain roles have helped me understand what it truly means to be a Black queer man in society. And what I really mean by that, not to say, oh my God, this has to be like super deep, but what I mean by that is that a lot of us don't realize, because people say, I only listen to actions. Actions speak louder than words.
Right.
When that's really not that true, for the simple fact that we deal with an invisible shortage. We deal with generational trauma, generational patterns. So your actions have been programmed, have been indoctrinated, because we as Black men have been on autopilot for so long.
Right.
And so those of us who are awakening to who we truly are and benefiting from being living our truth,
right?
Guess what? We're on a truth quest. A lot of people are on a happiness quest. Or a lot of us as Black queer men in the Black community, we sound offensive to people who only want to be happy. They don't want to live their truth.
Right. Gotcha. Exactly.
So that's what I've learned in this whole transition of doing different characters.
That's a very, very good, element of truth. I had, and this kind of speaks to where you are. I saw a post on one Facebook page that I'm connected to, and they asked a question, to this mature gentleman, a group of people who is comfortable with being out and who is still quote unquote closeted in their understanding of who they are. And I just got, and I always like to read what these comments are, what these people and where the head spin of these people are. And it is so unfortunate that that there are still a group of men, a huge amount of group of men that are later in their years that have not faced who they are as an individual, and I think it speaks to a lot of the trauma. Typically, the number one trauma mostly is what the church has said about them. That's the number one trauma that has affected. I won't limit it to just the African American men. I think in the Caucasian community is because if they were always brought up deep into religion, then they would be experiencing the same thing. However, we're not living in that day and age anymore. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, because freedom is available as long as you step into it. You know, now if you want to go in your house and close the door and put yourself and the lock and key, say you're still in the closet. Look, let me just be honest with y'all. People know who you are. Stop fooling yourself. Okay, at the end of the day, yeah. I mean, really, people know. You know, I mean, unless you trying to be all butch, and they say, "Well, you really overdoing it." Okay, right. You know, and then you got the other, "Well, you really overdoing it." You know, I mean, at the end of the day. So, I mean, I think it's just really it's personal deception. You know, at this point of the day, it reminds me of the then you can speak of remind me of the Tyler Perry movie that was just out. Medea's the new one, the last one that was just out on that Netflix.
Class reunion?
No. Homecoming, yes. And that particular scene where where her nephew comes home, you know, I loved it because he's like, "Gonna make this big announcement to the family," you know, so they all gather around, you know, waiting to like something big was gonna happen. Yeah. And then he says, "Well, I came out of them gay," and they stood there, everybody got paused, and then Medea goes like, "Well, what? We knew that all along." You know, and so it's so hilarious, but you know, and I'm saying that, you know, you're kiddingly serious, but to those that again but was on that post, hey, live your damn life. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'm not saying that you're one that has to have the flag on your balcony or on your porch or whatever the case may be. I don't understand that. That's a different level of representation. But if you're looking to find love, you got to be honest with yourself first.
Sure.
You know, because if you ain't honest with yourself, you're gonna never find love. But go ahead, DeMarco. I'm need to cut you off in your point.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. I mean, when we're taught that to be a successful Black man is to be busy. Mm-hmm. Not to be free.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
There's a huge difference in understanding being busy and understanding living your truth. And living your truth. I mean, we can take little small statements like one of my favorites, because I kind of laughed at it, is that once you know the truth, then the truth will set you free.
Right.
Now, we as Black queer men have shared our truth with those of our family members who are in the church. So you could tell that you're talking to people who are not set free, because when we share our truth, they couldn't accept our truth because they spend time trying to understand. See, understanding is a link to the energy of the enemy. The enemy wants you to try to understand. The enemy wants to try to get you to figure things out instead of accepting, because acceptance breeds knowledge and understanding, but they want you to go the other way around because they want you to live in that deception that you must understand first. I don't need you to understand my sexuality because I'm still learning my sexuality. I'm still learning me. I'm still learning all these things. What I need you to do is accept that I'm having a human experience just like you.
Right. Beautiful. Love that.
But you know that I want to add on to this. There's there's a show called P-Valley, which I know you probably have watched. I'll watch it too. And you know, there's now this situation where in the episode before this last episode, I don't even remember the name of the episode, but there was a scene where there was two masculine gay guys going at it and full blown, sex scene and all that jazz. And there was an uproar about that. About the sex scene, about national media in Black Twitter sphere. Let's just call it that. Okay, gotcha. And and that was a scene before that was a lesbian scene. That was before that scene. And there was a situation where there were certain comedians, certain influencers that said they should put out a advisory, saying that they're going to put stuff out there like a gay advisory, supposedly. That's what and that what got me when you said human experience.
Wow.
For many years growing up, I have seen movies where I have seen heterosexual love in full display, nudity and everything, and never questioned that. Never said, why do they put a advisory, which there is a advisory for sexual, content and all that jazz. But to say they needed a heterosexual, I never would say that. But for that type of scenario, they needed something to get them mentally prepared to see two masculine men and full embrace. Now, that right there, when you said the human experience, that really brought me back to that, because that is somebody's human experience, even though we don't agree or we have never experienced it or don't ever see it, but that is somebody's human experience. And do we need to have more of that on television for people to see that, DeMarco, to see that type of, not this, but we see that, but people still don't want to see it.
Right. Well, thank you for bringing that up. Because that scene was that scene at this particular time is exactly the scene that those people needed. They needed that. They needed that scene for the simple fact that being DL at one point in time was a badge of honor amongst a lot of men, because they didn't just mean being DL or down low for men. They mean also chasing their girls. Oh, I'm doing this on the low. We're gonna sneak on the low. We're gonna do this. So you have so many people who are connected to the dark frequency of being on the low that now our community is being opened up in such a way that where people are actually spending marketing dollars on our sexual experiences.
Okay.
So we're having marketing dollars, like we're having corporations, we're having production companies actually putting us in situations. And guess what? They still haven't put us in those situations. They put a straight man in those situations, and he had to deal with the backlash that we get. So now the shoe's on the other foot. Now you got somebody that you've respected, that you've followed in their career, who is straight. You see him on his girlfriends and stuff like that on social media, and he's taking on this persona. Now you have somebody who's just like you, who lives just like you, who fucked just like you, and now you have to understand a different level of respect. However, it still goes back to how we were treated during slavery. That indoctrination. See, the shame came in when the buck breaking.
Right. That's so very heavy.
Now we're being broken. See, us being out. People don't realize that we are the gift of the generation of breaking that generational pattern. So many of our ancestors within our lineage could not be open, could not say anything. So they had the wives, they had the children, they had the families, and all of that framework of shrinking was passed down to us, and we were born in that gift to be the pattern breaker. So now we get to watch, as a straight man, watch our community. He embodied how we walk, talk, move, kiss, love, embrace one another as Black men. You don't see that. Now a straight man that has to stand up and say, it's no different. I actually had to embody that. Now I have to deal with you calling me gay on social media when me with my wife. Thank you. I say
Wow. Love that analogy. I mean, really, that's good. And it's very empowering, again, like that to have these type of conversations, and being very open and transparent about it. That's where your authenticity comes from. I want to shift the conversation just a little bit, because I want to dig back into a little bit of your story, where we didn't get into quite deep, last time we were here, because we kind of time moves so quickly. So I want to explore a little bit more on the, I guess I hate to say the kidnapping situation and what you went through in that period in time, and how you brought yourself back to the reality and that fight, and to come, and I remember we left off the story. I think you had left, you finally got out of the house or whatever, but kind of take us back just a little bit before you kind of found your way out of the house at that point. The story hasn't actually changed. The story has evolved due to healing. I know that some of those moments in that room, because I was seeing things through the lens of trauma. Okay.
And you don't know that that's what you're doing. You don't know that. We don't know sometimes what we have been magnetic to, and being in that room where there were these people lined up in front of the bed.
Right.
And they're looking at each other and holding each other. And I wasn't, nobody could touch me. I didn't know that there were rules. I was out of it, completely out of it. Not because I wanted to be, but because what was inflicted on me. However, I started to learn some different things as I started to free myself from that stronghold, is that nothing is strong enough to hold you back, not without your help.
Wow. Love that. That's good. That's good. That's good.
And for so many years, breaking free from that place, I wasn't just breaking free from the place. It was actually, I was given the blueprint of how to break free of the emotional turmoil that gets me to that place before it happened. So when I broke free out of that place and I was in these red shorts, and I actually looked at the man and told him, you know, because over time he started to like me or fall in love with me. And over time he started forgetting to do the injections. I would wake up and he would be, you know, spooning me in front of me. And I started getting more confident and more, you know, courage. And I said, I can't watch you do this to yourself. And so I ran out.
Just for can you clarify for the audience real quick, just about the drug activity that was imposed upon you a little bit, because I don't think most of them may not remember that or how that happened real quick. And then at that same question, did this person, how did they, I guess, directly find you to play? Did they know about when you had moved from being the athlete that you were and found you out there? How did that occur?
You know, to be honest with you, I was never connected to attention.
Okay.
I was never connected to attention because I didn't know. People don't realize that when you grow up the ugly duckling or made fun of, you have a reserve of knowledge and on how people treat you. But because you've had to shrink and be a people pleaser in order to survive,
right,
your coping mechanisms paralyze you. And so in those situations where, you know, I don't know if they found me on TV, because I didn't think, to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't think anybody was going to watch our TV show.
Okay.
Shirts and skins. I didn't think anybody was going to watch it. I just hoped that one life would be attached to it in a way that they would find some freedom. So my thinking process was just one life. You know, I didn't think that a whole community of Black men and our allies would actually attach themselves to the show, because you never heard Black people talk about logo.
Right. Yeah. Very few. Very few.
You did hear people. Let me rephrase this. You heard people talk about Noah's Ark. You didn't hear people talk about logo.
Exactly. Yeah, that was right. That was the only tension that was there, pretty much.
Yeah. So in that situation, because I had gone through a breakup, I had gone through 13 people, close to 13 people in my family dying in a 6-month time period.
Oh, wow.
And that was with my grandmother, my uncle. My grandmother died, my uncle died the very next day. You know, they hit me up, my adopted sister.
DeMarco, I'm sorry. Can I hold you in that thought just for a second? We got to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay, hold that thought. I want to hear about the family. Yes, we'll be right back, guys. Yes. All right, and we're back. All right, go ahead, DeMarco. What you were saying now?
Yes. I was talking about, just in that time period, I had close up to 13 family members that I found out passed away in that short amount of time. Mm-hmm. So because I was so good at shrinking in front of people and masking that shrinkage, people didn't know that how badly affected I was by all this, because they were so used to me just going. You talk shit about me, keep going. You gossip about me, keep going. I lose a contract, keep going. All I knew how to do was keep going, and people equated that keeping going for being strong. That's not
Wow. I experience that same thing really on a day-to-day basis, because, and he knows there are times when I come in and I'm just weak, or I am the type of person that, because I know what I'm supposed to do and helping people find their authenticity, and then throughout my daily life, and then coming across, and you pour into people so much, and then you come home empty. You know what I mean? You come home looking for that void, looking to be filled, and whatever. Thank God he's here, because a lot of times I'm like, oh my gosh, basically coming out like, God, I've just poured out so much of me, and it's these everyday strangers, but they need to know what I have to say to them, and it becomes a life-changing moment for them. Really, it definitely does. So let's dig a little bit more. Again. So did you you have a book coming out, right? Is that correct?
Not yet. It's still I'm still writing.
Okay.
It would have been ready by the summer. However, I experienced something new, and I believed that this newness, when I talk about trauma bonding and the expectations of finding self-love, control your disappointments, and I felt that was important for me to start explore that in this book with the Black queer community, because we are so indoctrinated. Our entire life is like setting us up for failure. It's like our whole life is the expectation of divorcing ourselves from something. We have to divorce ourselves from slavery. We have to divorce ourselves from trauma. We have to divorce ourselves from how society treats us. We have to divorce ourselves from the elites that control our laws and all these other things. So every time we get into something, every time that I was getting into something, I always was able to find a way out, because I was always indoctrinated into doing that. That's why I was always able to keep going. So this information that I'm now placing in this book with the examples, I pushed it back a little bit, because I was learning more experiences about, and this, what I'm talking about, comes from addiction.
Okay.
You never realize that you have an addiction to trauma. You have an addiction to, you have a dopamine addiction. You go from one addiction of a synthetic drug that goes within, but you're creating the frequency of that addiction with your dopamine addiction by your senses, by going on your social media all the time, by going to comments all the time. So I felt that this was another element that was important for our generation. And I'm not even talking about the younger generation. I'm talking about a more mature Black queer experience, because we are now, we understand, the younger generation don't understand that when you, the game always changes and you have to learn how to pivot with it. The younger generation is learning how to shift. We've learned how to pivot. See, we do a 180 on the, they do a 360, and they're like, why is my life still like this?
Right.
That's kind of where it's at.
Wow.
What? You know question?
Well, you know what, and that's so funny. When I was in the beginning of trying to find myself and my authenticity within my sexuality and within, and where who I should associate myself with and who I should hang around with, I always used to ask, where are the mentors of our Black LGBT? That was always my big situation right there, when I couldn't understand why this was going on. Why did I have to do certain things to be accepted, to put on what you would call the gay uniform, which is, which we all know is to lose the weight, to be accepted in certain, places. But understanding what was the downturn to that acceptance, the sex part of it all, to having to do the drugs, which I never went into, thank God. Never went into. I could have went there, but it didn't go that far. But I understand within what you were saying in that moment, us always having to lean on that type of way of drama, because it seems to be, for me, it was always there around. It was never ever away. We would be in a club somewhere, somebody always fighting over something stupid, something that just makes sense.
Right.
And that was always the situation in any Black gay event. And that was always where are our mentors? Where are the people who know what we need to be doing and could put us on a better path? That's what. But I kind of quite agree with what you said, DeMarco. I think somebody needs to write a book on that, which you are doing. Definitely.
Can I add to what you're sharing? Because I was asked, and I think Parnell was a part of this. I was asked at the filming, at the premiere of Rouge Blues by Donnie Hugh Frazier and Samson McCormick, directed by Samson McCormick. And I was asked the question, Michael Sam's, when he came out, he said the entire community embraced him. And however, after about a year, they threw him away, and he feels so dated by the community. And so my response to that was not in a way of, I never put him down, but as a Black man, you have to find Black mentorship. Right. You have to find Black mature men in your community. And that just doesn't mean like your LGBT centers and all that stuff. See, a lot of us were always, you go to the club and then you never realize that the smartest, most intelligent person, the most free person is the person that everybody's talking shit about. The Black queen who is always on the dance floor, spraying powder in the air, living their best life, ain't paying attention to nobody, don't have a date. People like, oh, that bitch is lonely, all this other stuff. That's the most free person in the world. That's who you have to connect with. But also, one of the main things for me is when you were sharing that is that you have to you have to accept your season and be aligned in your season.
Wow.
Because most people want to align with their goal, but they're not in love with the need of the season, because each season to get to the goal changes. And in order for that to change, you have to successfully learn how to let go of the bad and let go of the good, so that you have enough capacity and space for your dreams and your goals to feel. Majority of us have gone through this life. You say, where are the mentors? Guess what? Because we didn't have resources in our communities in the late 80s, guess what happened? We lost an entire generation of mentors to AIDS.
Right. Yeah.
Then the next thing that happened in the 90s, as we were trying to fight back to get into our communities, we started having TV shows talk about down low men, and down low men were infecting our Black women with AIDS and HIV. So Black women started to become, so then you had another breakdown in our more mature people. So now the people that you're calling on, where are our mentors? It's us. We're just younger now. We're like we're the new generation of grandmas who are in our late 30s and mid 40s, because that's who we are now, because we have to step into that role. That's why I say before, our queerness is our superpower, because we're the generational pattern breakers.
Wow.
No matter what that we are breaking those patterns. So we are the ancestors. We are the ones who are supposed to be what they were going to be. But because of that, we needed that expectation. We needed the education from that situation from the 80s and the 90s. So now that we can give it to this younger generation who have more of an entitlement air about them.
Wow.
Wow.
Parnell, go ahead. I know you had a question.
That's great.
I had to get my mic back on. I was just having technical difficulties over here.
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead.
It's good to see you, DeMarco. Glad you're back on. And I love that you said, because that's what I was going to say. Like, we lost a generation of people who would have been the mentors. And there are a few of us who are still here, but there was a whole block of folks who would now be in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who we lost when in their 30s and 40s. So it is kind of that whole thing of like, now we've got to reconnect that. And I love that groups like In the Meantime, men's group, are doing that, where they pair younger black gay men with older gay men to kind of like mentor and advise. It's the whole thing of like, now this ain't for you to try and have them. This is for you to like show these young brothers how to come up, how to be a man, what that's about, being a black gay man in the 21st century.
Right.
You know, a lot of things have changed, and I think what we see with a lot of people, a lot of young gays, they think that the only way to be gay is the fabulousness, you know, the heels and the hair and the makeup and all that great. And that's wonderful if that's who you are. But if that's not your authentic self, but what you think gay is, then you find this affectation that just drives me crazy. But when we see people who are authentically themselves, like, no, so-and-so over here, he's not trying to be ultra butch. He's just a masculine dude. He just digs, he just falls in love and is sexually attracted to other guys. But he still is a truck driver and playing basketball or football or is in martial arts or, you know, whatever. All the things that,
we don't get that privilege in the Black queer community.
Yeah.
And this is when and many people may not agree with me when I say this, but this is this truth of my experience. Once you reach a certain level of notoriety within our community, there are ways people take what you have done and they've tried to break it down so that they can ingest it. And the way that a lot of people in our community have been able to ingest things is to read people and to find something wrong so that they can feel better about themselves and their journey on how they're getting somewhere. So we say we want positivity, but yet the majority of the shows that we have for our community are centered around gossip, centered around deeply rooted things that affect us and infect us in such ways that decrease our frequency and vibration.
Right, that's true.
So what did you think about this? I know you did the off-Broadway B-Boy Blues. So the storyline in that, do you think that's something that we need to kind of, you know, consider that type of love story? Do we need to go further than that? Because it seems to be always the typical situation, even though it's real life, you know, situations, because that is certain people's storylines. You know, not certain people, but every ordinary people's storylines. Right. But the fact is that, do you think there is really a positive storyline out there for, you know, Black gay men?
Absolutely. There are so many stories of positivity out there, because guess what? We have to create what we want to build. Right. We have to be curious. We have to share our curiosity in spaces and put our dollars into films, put our support. You know, because when Donnie came to me and asked me if I wanted to play the role of Titus, you know, I wasn't taking any things. I just said,
DeMarco, sorry.
You are great. We got to get
another quick break. Time is moving pretty quickly. But hold that thought. We'll bring it back.
Hold it.
I want to hear about that. Okay?
Yes.
After this quick break, we'll be right back. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. It has been such a powerful show. We're going to finish with what Mr. DeMarco was saying about that last point.
Yes.
You know, when I was asked to do the role of Titus, you know, when somebody asks me to do something, and guess what? Granted, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. Not the acting part, but just, you know, being me and being in front of the camera and sharing my truth. Donnie asked me and I said, how can I support you?
Okay.
We don't have that mentality throughout our community. How can I support you? How can I be a part of growing? Well, you know what? Well, can you give money? No, you know what? I can't give any money. What else do you do? Can you help me? Can you help me pick up, can you help me find a facility to do this? You know what? I know some people, let me do this. We don't have that village mentality in our community. Yet we are screaming that we don't have certain resources like the white gay community, yet we're not unifying ourselves in such a way to build that so that we can attract the resources, because we have way more resources in our community that we let on, because we have a lot more doctors, we have a lot more lawyers, we have a lot more coaches, we have a lot more therapists in our community as a whole. But guess what? We have been beaten up by society so much that we no longer care about being out. We just love that we're open and that we're still here and that we're free. But there's still so much work that we can do. But it is different.
I think the big part, and I'm gonna have a question for you after this, and we'll bring it to a close. So I think that to touch on what you're saying, I think it's the fear of failure. At the end of the day, and I think by and large, because I think if we feel like we're stepping out there, whatever that is, we're afraid of failing, and then at the opportunity of failing makes us stronger. But we have not been taught that, because our life has been so made up of fear. So we fear this, we fear that, we fear this, we fear that. We fear mama, we fear God, we fear, quote unquote, that entity. We fear what religion is going to say. We feel like this person's going to say, and oppression. So fear. Yeah. So I think it is the grip that not only just the black gay community, but just the black community in general. So when we have an opportunity to move forward in some greater destiny, we don't understand, because that fear pulls us back. Or I'm afraid to trust you, with my money, or I'm afraid to trust him because I don't know this about you. And for what I've heard, or what I've been told, the trauma that I've been experiencing, and all these other things factor into it. So it's a big ball of fear, and until we break that grip of fear as a people, doesn't matter what what your representation of that people, we're going to still be locked into that particular place, and it's sad. It really is. But
there's a second fear. I believe there's a second fear that goes with that might be very equal to it. It's a fear of exposure. The fear of exposure is very crippling. Absolutely. To our community.
True enough. So I want to move real quick before we wrap it up. This is a question we did talk about during the break. So this definement of terminology, okay? Because if you're under the mindset of anybody that's typically 35 and older, whatever the case may be, there was just one category, okay, and that was either just gay. Okay, at the end of the day. But so why is this, or do you feel that this consistent label? I know you refer to it quite a bit as being in the queer community or whatever the case may be. Because when I was growing up, I ain't that old, but when I was growing up, queer meant like, oh my God, you were like the last thing on the earth. Or it was that other word they used to call, people, was that F word, at the end of the day, which is just as low as that N word, at the end of the day. So what I'm trying to figure out here is that why do we have to continue to create these labels and just be? You know what I mean? Because it's who you are. If you're that person, you're that person. Why do we have to have a label over you if you are a representation of this community? Can you speak on that real quick?
I have two opposing thoughts.
Okay.
The bottom half of my first thought is that when you are an oppressed people, and then you take a sub-community from that oppressed people, all the symbols that we have that emulate things. I mean, from the ballroom scene to the athletic scene to just a regular job scene. From the ballroom scene, you have designer names.
Right.
You have these designer names because these designer names come from fashion, and ballroom scene is amazing because you have the houses and you have the teams and you have all of this stuff and you have the livelihood, but they also compete with the experience of what do I want to say, of luxury lifestyle. So when they create the outfits and they walk and do all these different things, it's of a luxury lifestyle. So as we walk around in our daily lives, we see luxury brands as a lifestyle. So if you can't afford to have that lifestyle, you will surround yourself with the emblems of that lifestyle. So that's kind of what's happened within our community with these extra names and all that stuff, is that everybody, because you're not it yet, you want to surround yourself with these different titles and with these different names. Now, however, the top half of that thought is we need representation of each element. And it may seem wild to me, or different to some of us older guys, but we need these different places of representation because there are different systems. Not everybody's had the same upbringing. Not everybody fled to the bigger cities. Not everybody's had the same experiences. So they still need someone they can look at to model how to live their life in such a way. But we still need those representation. I hear femmen say this a lot. We don't have this, we don't have that. But if you look on television, there's more of you than there is of me. I wouldn't have never been number one if there was in the first of doing what I did. If there was more representation. So we need that in order to have these type of conversations, which is why we started this. How the first conversation started with what happened in P-Valley. Right. If that didn't happen, we wouldn't have black straight men uncomfortable. You need to be uncomfortable.
Gotcha. So tell us, I know we got to wrap up. So tell us how everybody can reach you. Okay. Give us a real quick refresher on your website and the connective pieces with you.
How you can connect with me, it's through Instagram. I am D Majors on there, DE capital MAJORS. Mm-hmm. And you can find me on Facebook, my first and last name, DeMarco Majors. Okay. And you can send me a message there. If you're actually looking for coaching or executive coaching or healing from trauma, nutrition, fitness, you can go to my book now on my Instagram, and we can do a consultation. I'm still allowing, I'm still doing the coaching and allowing a few people. I keep it boutique.
Okay, I like that. Keep it boutique.
Yeah. Love it. I keep it boutique because I've had the 12 people that I've been open for a year and a couple months, and the 12 people that I've had who were all Black women and a couple older Black gay men, all struggling, trying to figure out what's their next best step. So within a year, everyone's become CEOs of their own companies.
Fantastic. I love that. So get us that information. We'll definitely make that available, on the Truth Behind the Truth Authentic page. So everybody can definitely keep in touch with you about that. Brother, it has been such a great joy to have you back tonight. And again, you are welcome at this table at any time. You just call me up, call Parnell, somebody, say, I want to come back and hang out with the fellas,
Yeah, come on back.
Come on back.
Being here. Thank you.
Your story is very, very powerful. Very powerful. Well, guys, thanks so much again for tuning into the Truth Behind the Truth tonight. It has been another powerful night. Look for us again, same place, same time, next week on what? The Truth Behind the Truth. Good night, everybody.
Take care, guys.